Part of the reasoning behind all of these upgrades came from just what's been done over the long term. You were able to make pension payments for the second year in a row. That's the first time the state's done that in 25 years. The other big issue is the $6 billion budget surplus that the state of New Jersey has at this point. I think you're setting this aside for rainy days, and I guess the question is, are rainy days here? When you hear about things like Goldman Sachs, when you see what's happening in inflation, do we need this budget surplus right now to survive some difficult days ahead?
Yeah, I think we do, is the short answer. And you're right, the budget I signed a couple of months ago had a surplus of $6.8 billion. I think the budget the year before we got here was $440 million. And by the way, on top of the $6.8 billion, we've got another over $5 billion in either a debt avoidance or a debt defeasance fund. And I thought the prior conversation that Joe had on the prospects of a recession at about 50-50, that seems right to me. So we don't want to get caught out. New Jersey's been caught out before, and we are determined not to get caught out again. Our job is to make sure we deliver affordability, that we've got enough in the bank for a rainy day, and that we outperform other like states. And those are our obsessions right now.
What do you see in the tax receipts at this point? We keep hearing about how the consumer's very flush. We keep hearing about how businesses are flush. Everybody sees tough times ahead. But what do you see in the day-to-day tax receipts?
Yeah, it's a very weird environment because on the one hand, you've got real hurt at the kitchen table in terms of affordability, which is why we've backed the truck up on record property tax relief and free sales tax for back-to-school stuff and other steps that we've taken on the one hand. On the other hand, we've had 21 straight months of job growth. We're at or near what our all-time low unemployment rate, and revenues into the state coffers continue to be strong. So we're very much in this tale of two cities moment, and we've been in it for several months now. And again, we're hoping for the best, but we're preparing for the worst.
If you ask the state's business leaders, they will tell you much higher odds of a recession. And in fact, I think the New Jersey Chamber of Commerce recently put out a survey that showed almost 70% of the state's business leaders think we're already in a recession. 71% of them think that recession will last more than a year. And more than 50%, 58% of the state's respondents think that New Jersey's efforts to support small businesses since the pandemic have been ineffective. What do you say to those business leaders?
Yeah, I'm not, on the outlook, I'm not nearly as dire as they are, but I think, listen, a 50-50 chance of a recession within the next 18 months is a pretty significant statement in and of itself. I'm not as dire as they are. And I would just say, with all due respect, I don't agree with them in terms of what we've done for small businesses, but that doesn't mean that we're patting ourselves on the back. I think we've delivered now, since the pandemic began, something like $900 million to small businesses. Only New York and California have put more money on the street, and they're a lot bigger than we are. And secondly, we're not done. We are constantly finding ways to deliver help to small businesses because we know they have been crushed disproportionately in this pandemic and in the economic turmoil that resulted.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.